I find myself trapped among the darkest recesses of this inhumane dungeon. I heard tale of a game that would test my prowess, but alas, I have failed to find it. Perhaps it is time that I turned in my GameStop Platinum's points card and...
Thou hast summoned me, Calazar, the gaming ghost.
The Calazar, the world record holder for the extreme underwater glizzy guzzling competition?
No. Do you want to get out of this place or not?
Yes, please.
Then you must play my game. One that shall test every cell in your body. Only then shall I reveal the way out.
Hark at thee. What game do you speak of?
A little game known as Shadow Tower.
Shadow Tower. Hark, FromSoftwares 1998 PS1 classic that released with albeit a poor reception, but later developed a cult following and even a sequel in 2003.
I don't think hard means what you think it means, but yes, that's Shadow Tower.
But I heard this game's impossible. Without a guide, at least.
Good luck. You will need it.
To test my mettle. To gain my freedom. I will complete this game.
Now, what if I were to tell you there's a game out there that is harder than any game from the Soulsborne franchise? Dare I say, harder than even Super Ghosts and Goblins? In fact, I am certain this very well could be the hardest game that I have ever played, and you probably haven't even heard of it.
Hi, how are you? Welcome, come on in. Name's Treeky, take a seat. The game we are talking about today is none other than Shadow Tower for the PS1. Created by FromSoft, the developers of such hit titles as Dark Souls and Elden Ring. Shadow Tower was released with a bit of a critical reception, but don't let that fool you. This game slays.
Now, much like its predecessor Kingsfield, Shadow Tower takes the reins of a 3D real-time RPG, which favors combat and exploration. However, instead of an interconnected world, much like Eternal Ring or Kingsfield, Shadow Tower takes place in one mega dungeon, the titular Shadow Tower.
However, this game's story is not for those that are weak of bowel. When you think of a tower, you think of a large structure that just reaches up to the skies, but not this tower. This tower is evil, which means instead of going up, it's going down to hell. It's got lots of demons. There's a crown down there. Crown grants you your wishes. Lots of people gone down there to get that crown dog. None of them came back. From what I gather, the magical crown is actually evil. And for some apparent reason, it destroyed the kingdom of Eclipse, which is one of the 3 kingdoms that guard the Shadow Tower from basically being unsealed and wreaking havoc on everything. But your character, Russ Hardy, a mercenary, shows up to his hometown where his Gram lives and finds that the whole place has been destroyed. Gram, what have they done to you?
Starting your journey to get to the bottom of the tower and avenge Gram. But it is here, when you first start up the game, you are greeted by this ominous wind that howls throughout the tower's core. There is this absolute sense of solitude and creeping dread. This game leaks atmosphere, and the only game that even comes close to this oppressive and ominous feeling is Silent Hill 2. No matter where you go, it's less of a happy-go-lucky fantasy adventure, and more like this.
Originally, I want to call this FromSoft's spookiest game that you've never heard of, because there's just consistent giggles and laughing and screams throughout the whole game, which has caused a bit of a spooky experience.
For example, I came across this altar in the first world. As soon as I entered the room, the door behind me creaked shut, so I approached the altar, and then I hear the little girl laugh. I don't know where it came from, so I go and try to investigate it. And as soon as I turn around, this thing shows up and tries to turn me into a shish kebab.
But after some deep reflection, I realized that the game truly wasn't that spooky. It was just really difficult. How difficult?
Within the first 10 seconds of the game, I tried to familiarize myself with the controls, and I ended up falling off the walkway where you spawn.
Oh yeah, that's how you know that it's gonna be a hard game, when you die trying to learn the controls. Definitely not my fault. No sir, I am a gamer and a good one at that. But the controls being dated and clunky isn't what makes this game hard. What makes this game hard is the Shadow Tower itself. It tests my bravery, my cunning, and most of all, my sense of direction.
as you explore the Shadow Tower, you are flung into different realms and their subdividing regions. You have 6 different worlds that are all connected by the tower's core. Within these worlds are subworlds known as regions, and let me tell you something, you're getting lost. The only direction I ever received was from this little guy who just told me that there were 6 worlds before rolling away. Something really cool about Shadow Tower's realms is they each have their own overarching themes, and the regions have sub-themes which have their own little quirks, like poison, and bottomless pits, and meteors. I mean, this game even has a realm that has large golems that do the Humpty Bump on the ground and send shockwaves across the floor that go through doors and kill you. And that doesn't even make up for the branching pathways that can lead you to take in a one-way trip to Wumba Wumba Town. These shortcuts can end up leading you to harder areas that you can't just get back from because you're not strong enough to fight the monsters, and around every turn is a dead end, or into the gaping maws of these graboids. The first area you visit is the human realm, to which you find out pretty fast that this place was ruled by some good old-fashioned demon worshippers. The first realm is accompanied by torture chambers, graves, and whatever these horrible things are. Demon Yoshis, yellow Pikmin. Through etchings on the wall, you find out that below there is a group of knights that went forward to reach the bottom, and that the knights began to turn on one another. We leave the realm of the humans and enter the first real realm, Earth Realm, which, as you might have guessed, has some pretty neat traits to it, like paralysis trees and laser beam flowers. And Ariel the Demoness. She lets us know that she was imprisoned by a small dwarf and asks for your help to break the seal and release her to her true body.
Now, I have been on a crusade or two, and I think that breaking any sort of seal and releasing a demoness back into her body is a bad idea. I've seen The Mummy. I see what happens. Scarabs in your skin.
So we go back deeper into the Earthen Realm where we meet Durin, the dwarf that imprisoned Ariel. And at first you think, wow, what a nice guy.
Hey, you can't go that way. The floor is covered with poison. Come this way.
Why, I can't imagine why Ariel would ever speak ill of you.
Fool! Who said you could come in?
Man, what a...
Yeah, so this little peckerhead actually shuts the door in your face, and you need to go hate stomp your way through a poison hall and find him.
It's none of your affair. Stay out of it.
But then he gets mad at you for wanting to free Ariel, so he starts walking around in circles angrily until you put him out of his misery.
Demoness, I have freed you. Where do I go to proceed in this game?
I despise humans.
Okay.
Yeah, so NPCs don't really give you any direction in the beginning of this game, but eventually you do find a knight holding a boulder.
I beg of you, stop the rock. It should stop if you stick that sword in the wall. King Gels went ahead here. I stayed and have been holding on to the rock since then.
Honestly, at this point, I don't know if I'm the problem.
You move forward and eventually meet with the first real boss, Apollo, one of the 7 knights who came looking for the crown. I have to say, the bosses in this game are so amazing. Not mechanically exactly, as you just kind of dash in and out of their range, but their movesets and designs are so interesting. Apollo reminds me of a tyrant from Resident Evil mixed with old King Doran from Demon Souls. After defeating him, it turns out that he was corrupted by the tower's influence, and then...
If someone doesn't start giving me some answers around here, I'm gonna freak out, dude.
we head out of the Earthen Realm and straight into the Fire Realm, which is... You basically make your way through Ifrit-infested lava rivers, brass flame hells, and robo-humpers. Until you meet a dragon who tries to burn you, so you need to turn around and head back to figure out how to get past him. Now our friend the gopher shows up, but again, he's useless.
Oh, you cannot defeat the Braxis. He's a vicious monster. Oh, very arrogant too. Oh.
So it's up to us to use our wits to find out that you need to cut off the lava source in the direction past the robo-humpers, past horrible arachnid women, and back again, only to find that the room is filled with lost souls from Doom and a stonified dragon. Past there, you find a warp gate that leads you to the hardest area this game has to offer. This level is called the Ashen Caverns, but I call it hell because it's consistently raining meteors, they got tons of robo-humpers, and they have Cerberuses. Shadow Tower is tough in not only the no lack of direction department, also in the traditional this is bullshit and I hate my life department as well. You find a key and end up fighting the next boss, the Ebony Knight.
I am an Ebony Knight, and a Lord of the Living Flame. It is my pleasure to cross swords with other warriors.
Oh. With little old me?
We defeat the Ebony Knight, and with no direction to be found, we wander a bit, and at this point, most of our stuff is broken, and...
Oh yeah, durability. I hate it! The second reason why this game is so hard is because of durability. If you thought getting lost was bad, try getting lost and having all of your resources drain at an exceptionally fast rate beneath your tiny little grubby fingers. It's not fun.
Each weapon, armor, and accessory has durability numbers, which when they hit 0 renders them useless. To repair your equipment, you have to go to one of these repair stones, of which I've only come across 5 in the whole game. And this little rude demon pops out and makes you give up your very own life essence to repair your equipment.
Hark, small imp. It seems someone has broken my sword, and I am in desperate need of...
Huh? What?
I said I was in desperate need of...
Now, depending on how low the durability is, it costs a hefty chunk of life juice. Broken equipment costs almost double, and nothing feels worse than hearing that. Honestly, finding a new weapon, no matter how bad it is, always brings me comfort in knowing that if one weapon breaks, I have a backup, even if I have 12 swords. Honestly, with good armor and lots of strength, you should be good on the HP front to give to the little demon.
Ah, the classic strength build. Quite vanilla, if you ask me. But in Shadow Tower, it is the only build you want to go.
Wanted to go Dex build? Don't do it. Mage build? No, thank you. Strength is all you'll ever need, even though Shadow Tower has a plethora of stats. You got your standard stats on the left side and a whole lot of let's throw some fancy jargon at the players on the right side. Nothing like particle and melting stats. Oh, and don't forget to splash a little bit of harmony in your build for when you're chopping down them skeletons. If you can never hit them, that is, especially since, you know, old 3D real-time RPGs don't really have any depth perception when it comes to combat, you'd have an easier time hitting a piñata.
Hark, mimic!
Enemies can drop items or armor, but you'll notice they do not give you XP. Shadow Tower XP is not based on killing monsters, but rather tied to these little funny looking salt and pepper shakers known as SP or soul points.
I do call them salt and pepper shakers though, because they do look like little salt and pepper shakers, as well as they're called SP in the game, so it's the little things in life.
Honestly, I just put everything into strength because it's tied to your HP, and HP is probably the most important resource in this game. So with plenty of equipment and plenty of health and maybe a reset or two, you finally make it to the third world, the water world. No, not that type of water world. This place is an acid-filled hellhole that ruins any sense of accomplishment I had, since the place just dissolves any armor and weapons you have. So after enduring hell and literal aliens from, well, Alien, at the end is Wizwardo, the ice wizard.
It would have been easier for you if you had melted away.
Wizwardo is killed easily just by shooting a bow at him. You finish them off and bada bing bada boom, do a little teleportation no jutsu, and we're in the world of illusions.
Is there no end to this tower? How many worlds must I pass through before I am done? Hark! Oh, little pan fiddler, you enthrall me with your music. That can't be good.
This little fiddler and his brother Pan Piper kill you slowly as they play their music, so you have to perfectly line up your shots with your bow or magic to light them up. My bow actually broke in the previous battle versus Wizardo, so this is probably the single most annoying portion of the playthrough, as I had to run all the way back to the
Water world?
to find a smith to repair my items, and then dodge his little doll dancers and line one up right between the eyes of the little fiddler. As a side note, I made it about 20 minutes into the illusion world and then I got cursed, so if you consistently see a purple-pink screen, that's what that is. And you can't get rid of it unless you have a divine symbol or wait a few years.
It's been 75 years.
You make your way through the illusion world, taking out shadow priests and wave dashing Mishima wannabes, and then you finally find your way into a teleportation maze. It's filled with demons, traps, and then turns into an arena in which you gotta take out the jester wizards to unlock the boss area, and then there's whatever the heck this thing is, a mollusk man. Yeah. But after defeating the guardian wizards, you enter into the boss chamber to fight off against the grand illusionist, Disguise.
I am called Disguise. It will be my pleasure to destroy you now.
Disguise is actually pretty tough, especially since she shoots spells out that are these like weird ring things that basically make melee the worst option you can possibly think of. And she's surrounded by these laughing heads who drain your health and magic and also self-esteem.
My sword is of average length.
Disguise whispers a few more sweet nothings before disappearing and opening a teleportation to the next world. I find a little bit later in this game it becomes more streamlined from area to area. The first 3 worlds were kind of a blunder your way forward until you enter the next area, but after
Water world?
you begin to just have access to teleportation slabs that lead you to the next world.
Welcome to Monster World. This is the realm of the demon, Necron, the nightmare world of Belial.
Necron? Belial?
Lizardman McGee over here has told me that he will give me a gift if I meet him again. So who am I to question his scaliness? Monster World is filled with they're beasts, filled with beasts. And hidden doors, lots of hidden doors. You think they'd have put more hidden doors in the illusion world, but nope, gotta make sure those headless monkeys don't get out and roam around the tower. Holy shit. So moving through this place, I think it's supposed to be more like beast-like monsters rather than demons, because we have our headless monkeys, our Triceratops Bushido masters, and our lizardman friend, who upon finding grants us with this samurai sword.
Origato gozaimasu.
The only other thing of note in Monster World is that you can start piecing together some of the story as you meet Ariel again, who tells you that the tower reflects the heart of Belial, the Demon King. The boss of Monster World actually is my favorite boss in the game. His name is Necron, and he looks like Monsoon from Metal Gear Rising.
I am Necron, and I am Chaos. It is I who seduced the king, but I am also a warrior, and you will be my next victim.
Turns out he seduced the king into doing whatever he did with the crown and awakened the Shadow Tower. Necron's not hard. Keep doing some blue orb thing, but you just run in and out and whack him. So before we get into the final world, I forgot to record half of it. So now I will show it to you through interpretive dance. So after defeating King Edward, we go and receive the Key of Knowledge from the Lingering Cursed area, in which is filled with gross eye cubes and goatmen. We grab the key and head towards the final boss in the final world.
If you wish to save humanity so badly, then you should meet the king. But to do that, first you must defeat me.
Skeletor, it's literally, he's just Skeletor. Can I just say, throughout the whole game, the NPCs have been just so charming. Like, the voice actors are just having a good time through the whole game, and like Skeletor here, hands down, takes the award for me.
I'm almost certain Skeletor, colloquially known as the Hollowed Mage, is impossible without a bow. He jumps around and does this massive AoE Dark Dome, which makes him impossible to get near. He also has these little bone brothers that help him out, but you just kind of run around them because they're essentially useless.
You have great power. Go and meet the king. Test your power on him.
Who is this guy? He deserves the sky.
At last, we reach the final zone, the Void, of which a great door stands before you, filled with spheres that contain the souls of the bosses you have vanquished. Now, side note, if you miss a boss, which is totally possible in this game, you actually can't get in here, which means you have to go all the way back through the game to figure out which boss you missed, kill them, and come back.
I have been through poison, lava, meteorites, acid, monkeys, but now before me stands my final test, my final labor. Together, we shall defeat this game and get out of this place.
You did well to have come so far in that puny human body. Show me respect, and I will kill you painlessly.
Balrog is the giant knight that appears in the pre-game demo. He is slow and stupid and very underwhelming as a final boss, until you do enough damage and then he decides, okay, now we're gonna fight, and sheds his armor and becomes a super fast boy. Balrog 2.0 is not really that much harder than Balrog Vanilla, but my god, he takes forever to take down.
Huzzah! Balrog the Mighty has fallen. Let's go!
I will not let you go.
What does he mean by this? Have we not conquered the Shadow Tower?
So yeah, Jellybean Eyes over here is the true final boss, and you just switch to your bow because this guy is the biggest pushover ever. One hit and he calls for help, another 10 shots and he's dead.
I don't know what it is about FromSoft's final bosses, but either they push your shit in or they're not hard at all. C'est la vie.
You get the end cutscene of your character receiving the crown and gaining a wish in which I guess he uses to become a conqueror, which is not what I wish for.
I wish for you to subscribe. And $1,000. Well, with this, I have finally conquered Shadow Tower. Kalazar, hark!
Not so fast. You've cheated my game.
How?
Don't tell me. You're using my laptop and looked up a guide.
Well, can you blame me?
Pumpkin eater.
Finally.